It is amazing to watch as the media and Democrats rush to defend woke corporations pushing some of the most egregious garbage on
Hollywood has become a battlefield where every blockbuster, every award show, and every tweet seems more focused on pushing an agenda than actually entertaining people.
All pretending this is normal. The entire media have decided this is not interesting. It is not worth covering because the only thing they care about is maintaining the functioning of the Democratic media machine. That is all they care about.
Ben Shapiro isn't just watching this from the sidelines. He's calling it out with brutal precision. From rainbow-colored trucks to the media and celebrities who preach one thing and do another. Ben Shapiro, known for his sometimes controversial opinions on religion, politics, wokeness, and of course gender ideology, exposes the hypocrisies at every turn. Wokeness is no longer just a trend. It's a weapon, and Hollywood is its greatest enforcer. But here's the real question. Is it all about justice, or is it just one big PR stunt? Let's find out.
Okay, no, it is not in the mind, okay? You're not a man if you think you're a man. And I didn't say pretending, or if I did, I shouldn't have said pretending. Let me amend.
You said playing.
Okay, I said a boy who thinks he's a girl. That's the usual phraseology I use. Not playing. I usually say a boy who thinks he's a girl or a girl who thinks he's a boy, which is technically what we're talking about here. As far as the actual psychological issues at play, it used to be called gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder.
Ben Shapiro just completely shut down a woke student. And trust me, it was classic Shapiro. The student tried to argue that gender isn't directly tied to biology, claiming it's more of a cultural thing. But Ben, being Ben, wasn't having any of it. In typical Shapiro fashion, he broke down the argument with ease.
The idea that sex or gender are malleable is not true. Okay, and I'm not denying your humanity if you're a transgender person. I am saying that you are not the sex to which you claim to be.
He pointed out how throughout human history, gender has been biologically defined, and attempts to blur those lines with concepts like gender spectrum simply just don't hold water. It was like watching someone crush a weak argument with facts and logic.
Human being, and you're a human being with an issue that I wish you Godspeed in dealing with in whatever way you see fit. But if you are going to dictate to me that I'm supposed to pretend that men are women and women are men, no. My answer is no. I'm not going to modify basic biology because it threatens your subjective sense of what you.
Shapiro's approach is simple but powerful. He doesn't get emotional, he doesn't flinch, he sticks to the science. The student even tried to bring up intersex people, as if it was a gotcha moment. But Ben, with his usual precision, explained that intersex cases don't undermine the reality of biological sex. The truth? Facts don't care about your feelings, and Shapiro makes sure to remind his audience of that.
I'm saying that the Boy Scouts have a standard. You must be a biological boy to be a Boy Scout. You have to be a boy to be a Boy Scout. In the name boy.
It's not just about debating gender. It's about standing firm against a culture that's trying to rewrite basic truths. Whether it's gender identity or pronouns, Shapiro's message is clear. You can live how you want, but you don't get to force others to play along with anti-scientific nonsense. And if you thought this was insane, wait till you see what Ben Shapiro did to this person when they tried to question him on gender sciences.
But how does your view of transgender issues work when scientific anti-realism as a concept exists?
The student tried to challenge him by introducing scientific anti-realism, but Ben wasn't fazed. Essentially, the student argued that since we can't see the building blocks of life, like cells and atoms, gender can't be definitively identified by sight. Shapiro quickly tore through this convoluted argument, pointing out that for 99.9% of human history, we've been able to distinguish between male and female by simple observation, which still holds true today.
Here's my problem with that particular argument. The answer is that in 99.8%, 99.9% of cases, you absolutely can gender somebody based on looking at them. Like really, if you're going to use intersex people as an example of not being able to do that, this does not obviate the biological duality.
Shapiro wasn't about to let abstract philosophical concepts overshadow biological realities. The student tried to lean on the existence of intersex people as proof that gender isn't straightforward. But Ben expertly countered that intersex individuals are anomalies and don't invalidate the fundamental reality of male and female.
Based for all of human history and for all mammalian species. So intersex people do not invalidate the concept of sex as a generality. Intersex people are people who have a biological anomaly.
He stayed focused on the core issue. There is an objective biological standard for sex, and that's not something you can just brush aside with subjective feelings or theoretical word games.
In most cases of intersex, those people still manifest as either a male or a female. So the idea that intersex exists does not invalidate the idea that there is a male and that there is a female, or that in nearly all cases, I can tell the difference between a male and a female.
What's so powerful about Shapiro's argument is how he sticks to facts and doesn't get lost in the woke culture's attempts to confuse the debate. While society might try to argue that gender is a spectrum.
I'm not saying, by the way, that if you can show me your chromosomal charts that you are actually not a male, when I say that you're a male, that I should stick with that biological objective standard. Like my perception of you, in other words, is subject to my correct enunciation of an objective.
Ben stays firm. Biological sex is real, and no amount of philosophical theories will change that. But wait, that's not all. Gender isn't the only thing Shapiro is exposing woke people on. He's firing shots at the White House as well as he completely destroyed Kamala Harris.
Truth. Kamala Harris is utterly and radically inauthentic, a person without any central conviction except the desire for power. And if the story of Kamala Harris tells us anything, it's that in America, unbridled ambition, combined with a complete lack of principle, can take you just about anywhere.
But he isn't done yet. Ben Shapiro stands his ground with this unwavering stance. But hold on, that's just the beginning of what Shapiro has to say. He's not stopping at the conversation around her. He's taken it several steps further. Shapiro has his sights set on exposing even more of the woke agenda, and this time, he takes aim at the media.
Attorney General of California, because, of course, she was a very left-wing Attorney General in the state of California. She was the most liberal Senate in the United States Senate in 2019. She ran an incredibly wildly left candidacy in 2020 and got shellacked in the primary. And then as vice president, she was handed the border czar job, which we've now been told she was not handed. And the border is the worst situation that we've ever seen on the southern border. So she has to go back 20 years to the last thing that she can run on as a quote unquote moderate. I don't think that dog's going to hunt. Just in the last 2 days, she's flipped on fracking. She's flipped on assault weapons mandatory buyback. She's flipped on decriminalization of border crossings, for example. Like, she's flipping on all of these things in an attempt to bring herself off as a moderate. Dave McCormick, the Republican candidate for Senate in Pennsylvania, has brought out a series of ads that I think are better than anything the RNC has yet brought out. Basically just playing tape of Kamala Harris. I think when people get a load of Kamala Harris, what she actually says, this is going to look a lot like John Kerry circa 2004, for those who have sort of an institutional memory. Kerry was labeled a flip-flopper, and that was deadly to his campaign. Kamala Harris is trying to play fearless prosecutor, but in reality, she shifts her positions based on putting her finger in the wind. And they're sitting down right in that warm, urine-filled kiddie pool of Democratic media complex here, and they're really enjoying themselves. They're splashing around in there, just really enjoying this sort of newfound relationship they have with Kamala Harris, treating her with kid gloves.
It's a no-holds-barred critique. Shapiro completely dismantles Kamala Harris in the mainstream media's attempt to shield her. He skillfully calls out the inconsistencies, double standards, and bias, leaving no room for their usual narratives. He's tackling the entire woke culture head-on, and the media is right in the center of it. With sharp wit and precision, Shapiro makes it clear that he's not here to play games. He's here to expose the flaws and contradictions that others shy away from.
From this is not going to be about Trump, who still remains Trump. And it's really not going to be about Harris, who performed the best I think it's possible for Kamala Harris to perform, which is to say, she was fairly obnoxious. She lied a lot. She said a lot of things that were untrue. She was never called on any of that.
In his signature no-nonsense style, Shapiro ripped into the debate moderators, accusing them of being so far up Kamala Harris's ass that they were practically doing active colonoscopies with their eyeballs. That line, as sharp as it is accurate, perfectly sums up the disgraceful performance we saw during the debate.
Of the legacy media on behalf of the Democratic Party. The legacy media have decided, full scale, they are now apparatchiks of the Democratic Party. They are so far up Kamala Harris's ass that they're doing active colonoscopies with their eyeballs. It's unbelievable. Watching
Shapiro isn't just throwing out insults for the fun of it. He's making a critical point about the bias and lack of objectivity in the mainstream media. Instead of holding Harris and other left-wing figures accountable, the moderators seemed more interested in soft-pedaling questions and playing defense for her. It's no wonder people have lost faith in legacy media when it's so blatantly one-sided.
Why are you so bad and orange and mean? And then turning to Kamala Harris and saying, and why is he so bad and orange and mean? It's absolutely insipid and totally insane. The media tonight were beyond the worst expectations that I had for them.
Media. The question isn't really why the legacy media have lost Americans' trust. We know that answer. The question is why, despite that loss of trust, the legacy media continue to gain share in the advertising.
Ben's frustration resonates with what countless people across the country are feeling. Why isn't the media doing the job it's supposed to do? Why aren't journalists and reporters holding politicians accountable with tough, fair, and unbiased questions, no matter which side of the political aisle they're on? Instead of digging into the truth and demanding clear answers, we're subjected to these shallow puff-piece interviews that masquerade as debates. The media, which should be a watchdog for the people, seems to have become a mouthpiece for certain narratives, dodging real issues and failing to push for clarity on important matters. It's no wonder people are fed up. Politicians are often let off the hook, their words going unchallenged, while we, the viewers, are left with little more than surface-level conversations that skirt around the real problems. Ben's frustration isn't just his own. It's a shared sentiment among many who are tired of the media playing softball when it should be asking the tough questions that matter most.
We're in the midst of a trust crisis in the world of media, which is because so many in the legacy media have lied in order to preserve left-leaning narratives.
What do you think about this? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos. See you in the next one.